In this video, I will be explaining to you guys how me and my students have gone from zero working dead-end 9-to-5 jobs to being able to make 5,000 every single month consistently from this thing right here. And it's simple. It's all through appointment setting. I'll be explaining by the end of this training how it works, why it works, and how you guys can do the exact same thing. Now, I know that a lot of you guys probably won't sit through this entire video, but for those who do, I want to be able to give you guys something back. So if you message me the word training on Instagram, I'll give you guys the gift that's going to help you guys push to the next step. What is appointment setting and why should you do it? As an appointment setter, you are the first point of contact between a lead and a high-ticket business owner. What do we mean by high ticket? High ticket simply means anything over 4 figures plus, something that's actually worth our time. Most of the time you work directly inside the Instagram's DMs for a coach, consultant, or an online educator who's already making good money, and your job is to simply turn their warm leads into booked sales calls. What do we mean by warm leads? Warm leads are anyone who's had some sort of previous engagement with us. So let's just say they've liked our post, they've commented on our post, maybe they've followed us. They're examples of people who are warm leads. So what do we actually do as appointment setters then? What is the services that we provide? We simply start conversations with inbound and outbound leads. Inbound meaning people that message you, outbound being people you message. Qualifying them to make sure they're a good fit. So what are we qualifying? We're qualifying, okay, cool. Do these people actually need this service? Do these people have the money for this service? Can they afford it? And if we tick these boxes, then we know for a fact that we are keeping things ethical. Because that's something that's very important that a lot of people actually skip. Building enough trust and curiosity to get them onto a call, building that urgency, making them actually think to themselves that this is the correct time to take action, booking them onto a calendar with the closer. The closer is the person who's going to be taking this call, making sure they're the correct fit for whatever it is. And then also you, as an appointment setter, you have to follow up to make sure that they actually show up. Because more often than not, if you don't follow up, these people just forget. To be honest with you, a lot of them just think to themselves that it's something that they can go without. So this follow-up is going to ensure that they get onto the call with the closer and you end up getting your commissions. So for all of this, you earn on a commission basis, typically between 5 to 10%. That is usually the industry standard of every single deal that closes from your booked calls. So conservative math, let's say you're working for a fitness coach who sells £2,000 coaching and you're on 10%. £200 per book call, or closed call, should I say. So from the outside, all of it might sound simple. And to be honest with you, the concept quite literally is you are messaging people. You do it every single day. But what separates the people making 500 a month from the ones making 5,000 is the skill and the consistency behind the execution. I've seen so many people, that go into appointment setting thinking that they're going to be able to make, 5,000, but they're half-arsing the skill and they're not consistent at all. They're treating the consistency like an option, which is something that you can't really do. It's not one of those things where you can decide to just, do it today and then you give it a week break and you come back. You do actually have to put consistency behind it. So for people that, maybe go to the gym, or people that enjoy going to the gym and putting in that consistency and seeing the result from their work, this might actually be something that you guys will be very good at because you can attribute something that you're already doing and just apply it to this. So unlike things like drop shipping, SMMA, or trading, or most other business models, appointment setting actually has no startup cost, no client acquisition risk, and no technical barrier to entry. So it's quite a universally acceptable thing for all of you boys to be able to, push yourself into, or girls for that matter. If you can hold a conversation and stay consistent, like you do with your friends probably, you can make this work. And the only thing standing between you and your first commission is landing a role and learning the skill properly, really. That's kind of the only barrier for entry. And that's exactly what this training is for. This is going to explain to you exactly how you can get into appointment setting and why you should do it. So, skill set and expectations. Before you go looking for an offer, you need to understand what the job actually looks like from a day-to-day basis. Appointment setting is a sales skill, not a tech skill, not a design skill, not a marketing skill. It lives and dies on your ability to hold a real conversation with a real person and move it in a direction. So the good news behind this is that is something anyone can learn. And as I've said multiple times already, this is something that most people can do already. If you can talk to your boys, if you can talk to girls, if you can talk to your parents, you can do this skill because it's something that you already do. It's just directed at the wrong thing. So what do you actually need to develop as a setter? You need these specific things to be able to push these conversations from people that might not be interested to people who are interested. You need to learn conversation control. So being able to keep things moving without being pushy. Qualifying, working out quickly if someone is a good fit. Rapport building, making a stranger feel like you genuinely get them. Objection handling, when someone says, I need to think about it, that's usually a sign that someone is probably not getting the boxes ticked that they want. Maybe they have a bit of fear involved. Maybe they have a lack of urgency. These things that are stopping someone from making that next step, understanding that, being able to see the reason behind it. Following up. Most deals are lost because nobody followed up. The amount of money that you leave on the table by not doing your follow-ups. Energy and tonality, how you say something matters more than what you say. Now I can't literally tell you guys this enough. I've spoken to setters, and my own students for that matter, who at the beginning, they don't have that tonality that hits with the prospect, because what's happening is they're treating this conversation like a Q&A. They're not taking this conversation like someone who is trying to help another person make a decision on what they want. So for example, I was speaking to one of my students recently, and he was explaining to me the issue that he was having was the retention of the conversation was dropping. And quite literally, it was just because he wasn't present in the conversation. He wasn't taking accountability for the fact that he was speaking to someone who actually needs help, And the way that we worked past this is we started to work on the way that he framed the conversation. So having accountability is something that you need to push forward this conversation. So acknowledging what they say, connecting to what they say, and then asking a relevant question. It's the basics of what you do in a conversation. Don't drop it just because you're talking to someone you don't actually know. You would do that if you were doing it to your friends. If you were doing it to a girl, your parents, you would have that sort of present action in a conversation. So do it in the same in your conversations. And this is what I told my student. And from this, he managed to increase his retention, ultimately leading him to being able to book a lot more calls and actually making a lot more money. So this is something that I can't stress enough. So none of this is actually rocket science, but it does take reps. It takes time to learn and master. And that's the entire point of all this. It's not rocket science. It's not something that you need some sort of crazy ability for. It's taking what you already kind of have a skill in and doing more repetitions in it and building that muscle, so to speak. So once you have it, no one can take it from you. It's a skill that you can use and you can transfer into different scenarios. You can walk into any setting role, any sales role, any business and perform. Sales is like the derivative of every single business model. If you have a business and you don't have sales, you don't have a business. It's so simple. Because a business can't operate and provide a service if they've got no one to serve it to. So the people making 3 to 4 to 5K a month, they aren't special. There's nothing inherently special about these people doing these big numbers through anything online, to be honest with you. But they just started before you and put in the reps. Like it's quite self-explanatory, really. It's like an academy football player and a professional football player. If you're an academy and you're looking at the professional football player and just being like, oh, they're just so much better than me. Maybe I just didn't get gifted genetically through birth. No, they've just probably started before you and they've put in that reps through academy to semi-pro to men's football to pro, And that's it. Everything in this training is going to show you exactly how to build this skill from scratch and get paid for it as fast as possible. So what does this actually pay? Now, let's keep it simple. So here's the math. You'll work with a business selling a £5,000 program. Your commission is 5%, so that's £250 per closed deal. Your job is to book the calls, the closer handles the rest. Even if you only book one call a day, and even the closer only closes 15 of your calls a month, so 50% close rate, that's what, £3,750 in your pocket. One offer, one business, a few hours a day from your phone. This is realistically the conservative math of all of this. And you can get on multiple offers at the same time if you're really that much of a hustler, I suppose. And that's the beauty of all of this. It's just having conversations with people, pushing them in the right direction, getting them to book onto a call. The closer handles the rest, and then you get paid. So the better that you get at the conversations, the more calls that you book, the more that you earn. And it's as simple as that. Like, you're not chasing clients. I mean, apart from maybe following up leads, I guess that's the most chasing that you'll do. You know, you're not running ads for yourself. You're not building a product. You're just having your phone and a skill that pays. And that's kind of, I suppose you could say, the beauty of appointment setting. I say beauty because I guess I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to this, but that's the wonderful thing about this. It's having a skill that you already have, having a conversation with someone you've never had a conversation with before, and helping them make a decision that they're already thinking about, and then getting paid for that. Like, I can't see a world where that doesn't make sense. Okay? So how do we find our first offer? So we've already, implemented these skills. How do we find our first offer? So finding a legit offer is the first real step. Without one, you can't earn. So here's exactly how to do it. People like TJR, Brez, and Shelby Sapp, they all sell high-ticket programs. You could name pretty much every big, online educator. Chances are they probably sell a high-ticket program, right? Unless there's some sort of big influencer. I mean, even so, they probably still sell a high-ticket program, What even is an offer? Because a lot of these people who are watching this video right now are probably thinking to themselves, well, high-ticket offer is great, but what does this look like? What is this for me? If I'm looking to get into this as a setter, what do I look for? An offer is the business you work for as a setter, and it sounds self-explanatory. Usually an online coach, consultant, or educator who's already selling a high-ticket program, anything from £1,500 to £15,000. It can be more. They need someone to manage their DMs and book calls, and that's you. Think about it. Do you genuinely believe wholeheartedly people like Brez, TJR, Shelby, they all have the time to be in their Instagrams 24/7, checking all the thousands and thousands of inboxes, messages that they get every single day? No. They don't have people to do that. They don't have people to message all the people that like and comment and follow. They don't have time. They're business owners. So someone has to deal with that because that's money on the table, right? You think these people are following because, they don't have some sort of interest in this person. They have interest in this person. So they already have authority to sell or push their service to these leads. They just need someone to create this conversation. And that's you as a setter, right? And that's why it's so easy to make good money, because there's so much opportunity. So what makes a good offer? Not every offer is worth your time. And here's what to look for before you say yes to anything. They're already making money. You want proof that the business is active and selling, because if they don't, then it's kind of just like you're taking a shot in the dark. You don't know if this business is going to do well. Sure, they might, but at the same time, you want proof. You want to know that the person that you're working for makes money, because if they make money, then you make money. They have inbound leads coming in. So maybe that's through their organic content, their ads, or they've got an audience that's already solid and built, okay? I don't think personally that you only need to get on an inbound role. Obviously, sure, in dreams, we can have a role that only is inbound, right? But even so, at that point, if we're only dealing with inbound leads, then it's like warm outbound's still there for us where we can make a lot of money. So even more money's left on the table. I would prefer a role that's warm outbound and inbound led, okay? The ticket price is at least 1,000. Anything lower and your commission won't be worth it. Obviously, if you're on 10%, for a £900 ticket. I don't know about you, but £90, £50, £500 ticket, it doesn't sound up to me. It's not really worth my time. And they're willing to train you. Good offers invest in their setters, and that's quite self-explanatory, because at the same time, it's like, if you're going to be a part of the team, they're only as good as the worst member of their team, and that's you. Then they've got something that they've got to get a chip off their shoulders, really. If they're willing to train you and put effort into you and work you up into a good setter, which a lot of these offer owners do, not only do you have more conviction in yourself because you know you're going to get that training. Maybe you've got a set manager that's, someone's managing you and helping you and jumping on calls with you. You've got conviction in yourself, and you've got conviction in the business model, because you know that you're getting all the training that you need to push yourself from A to B. So you're going to have less fear and less pain associated with doing the setting with this. Okay? Communication is clear and professional. You might be talking on WhatsApp, Slack, these different communication channels. If it's clear, it's set out, you know exactly where to find things, perfect. And it's professional. I think a lot of people do chat like, I guess you could say, a business owner, but you will find a lot of people that aren't robotic like business owners, which is kind of that nice little mix that you want. But ultimately, if they're disorganized before you join in, it's only going to get worse the more that you help them scale up as a business. So where do we actually find offers? So there are two ways to find offers. You can go and find them yourself, or you can plug into a network that already has them. But here's both. So the fastest route is to join a mentorship or program. The quickest way to land a legit offer is to invest in someone who already has the connections, right? And this is quite self-explanatory. It isn't necessary, obviously, as I'm going to show you the other option, but this is the route that I personally went down, and I've seen the best success from other people. Obviously, my students themselves have invested into my mentorship, and they have gotten themselves the best results through the connections that I've built, the network that I've built. Because ultimately what I can do is I can put 300 plus hiring opportunities every single week into my community that I do, which allows for them to have first pick opportunity to get these roles, which ultimately removes the stress of them having to find this off their own back, because people gatekeep. Unfortunately, I do gatekeep. People gatekeep. And this is something that a lot of people are going to struggle with, especially in 2026, trying to find a role, is actively more and more people are gatekeeping, right? So unfortunately, it can be a little bit pay to win. However, we'll get to that. A good mentorship gives you access of a network of business owners, sales managers, and closers who are actively looking for setters. This is how literally we place our students on anywhere from 3 to 10K plus per month roles through the hiring chat. It's the exact same thing. We leverage our network. We leverage our conversations that we already have with other business owners who need appointment setters. Instead of spending weeks cold outreaching and getting ignored, you get introduced to the right people from day one, which ultimately removes the stress of the first 3 weeks that you're into this setting space where not only are you trying to learn, but you can't actually land a role because no one's replying to you. So this gets you pretty much on board from the get-go and getting you firing out applications, firing onto roles, and firing commissions in your pocket. And the opportunity comes to you rather than chasing them, which ultimately is what we want, because speed to lead is the thing that's effectively going to push you further. Literally just the other day, one of my students had landed a 10K plus per month role. So going out and finding them yourself, this is ultimately the other option that you have. Find coaches, consultants, closers, and sales managers who are actively online and reach out. Keep it short, personal, and direct. Even better, send a quick LinkedIn video introducing yourself because it builds trust faster than any text message ever will. Also, optimizing your Instagram. People will check your profile. And the second that you message them, all you need is a clear photo of your face, a simple bio that says what you do, appointment setter, high-ticket sales, and a few posts so your page looks active. This is completely a viable option. Completely. This is something that you absolutely can do and you absolutely can find success with. But a lot of people don't have the nerve to wait 3 weeks plus to find themselves a good role. Because if that 3 weeks is some time that they want to be making money, then it's almost like the cost of not investing into yourself is costing you more by the fact that you are not making money within that first 3 weeks to plus couple months, where you could be making that money. And it's like you break even from the mentorship, and then also you get the addition of the extra 3 months of mentorship, 3 months of extra resource, 3 months of extra hiring opportunities. It's like, it's almost like a cat before the, like a chicken before the egg, you know, cat chasing the mouse type thing, where realistically you can do either one, but it's just which one you would prefer to be. So landing your first role. Getting hired as a setter is easier than you think. Here's what you actually need to know. What the process looks like. Most setting roles are pretty straightforward to apply for. You know, you usually send a short Loom video introducing yourself, you have a quick call with a business owner or sales manager, and that's it. You don't need a formal CV. You don't need years of experience like uni. You just show up with the right energy and attitude. So the Loom video, this is usually the first thing that they ask for, and it's your chance to stand out immediately. A lot of people are scared of doing this. So many people are scared of doing this. Literally, I had a student who had a Loom video that they made really good, and they got recommended onto a role by a business owner. That's how much power that you can have with these Looms. If you make a good Loom video, business owners will recommend you to other business owners because your Loom is so good. If you spend time making a good Loom, like a really good Loom, I can guarantee you that your opportunity to get a role is exponentially higher. Exponentially higher. Keep it under 90 seconds. I think if you can, I would probably say anywhere from about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, maybe 2:30. It's pretty good. You don't want it to be boring because you've got to think about retention, how long they're actually willing to watch this for. Good lighting, clean background, and your face on camera ultimately. Tell them who you are, what drives you, and why you want to work with them specifically. Show hunger, show confidence, because confidence sells. And that's kind of all it takes to get to the next stage. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. But what are they actually looking for within these Looms? And here's the thing that most people don't really realize. Business owners and sales managers are not hiring based off your experience, which makes it perfect for you to get into appointment setting right now. They're hiring based on energy, coachability, and hunger. How much they actually enjoy, you know, the fact that you've sent them a personalized Loom where your energy is high, you look like a fucking treat to work with. They're the type of people that are going to be looking for you as a brand new person. So don't think that you're capped out because you don't have the experience. They're hiring based on your energy. They want to see that you're coachable. They want to see that you've got hunger. They want someone who's going to show up every single day and take feedback and want to be the best on the team. See, that person gets hired every single time over the person with experience who just doesn't care, who doesn't seem bothered. And ultimately, the one thing that changes everything is before you do the interview or the Loom, do your research. Don't show up ultimately just thinking, I'm going to wing it and see how it goes. Show up and actually put the work in. You know, it doesn't take long to do a bit of research on their brand before. Do research on, you know, what they might be looking for. Get prepared. Think of it like a bit of an exam. You wouldn't show up unprepared. You wouldn't show up with no revision. You know that you're winging it. You know that your chance of doing well is lower. Watch their content. Understand what they sell, who they sell, and their offer as a whole. What do they do? Because if you don't know that, you just look a bit silly joining the interview, especially if it's a group interview and you freeze up. You don't want to do that. I would definitely recommend, if you're in a group interview, by the way, bit of sauce here, just focus on yourself. Almost isolate the rest of the room and just think of you and the interviewer. No one else is important, okay? That level of initiative alone puts you 90% above the people that are applying for the exact same role. The DM setting framework, okay? I want to make this known. This is a simplified version of the framework. In a real role, you will go so much deeper into every single stage, but this will give you the foundation to understand how every single conversation should flow, okay? Open the conversation. Keep it natural, keep it personal, match their energy, and make it feel like a real human's reaching out, not just a copy and paste template or some robot that has no emotion behind the message. Reference something specific about them, their content or their situation, because ultimately the goal here is to simply get a response and start a conversation, nothing more. It doesn't have to be anything flashy. Building rapport and soft qualifying. This is where most of the work happens. Ask genuine questions about where they are right now, what they're struggling with, and what they actually want. You are not interrogating them. You're having a real conversation while working out if they are a good fit for the offer. The better you get at this stage, the easier everything else becomes. Think about it. If you're having a conversation with a big business owner and you just notice that they don't have any interest in you, what do you think ultimately? What do you assume? You would just assume that this person wants your money. Now, imagine if that business owner started to treat you like an individual, treating you like someone that having a proper conversation with. Is that or is that not going to greatly increase your trust? It's going to increase your trust, right? So that's the entire point of all of this. Build trust. Help them to open up. Help them to see their problem. Dig into their pain and dream outcome. Once you've built some rapport, this is where the conversation gets real for them. Ask them about, what's not working right now, and actually let them explain it. Let them sit and talk, right? Because the more that they open up about their situation, the more invested they become in finding a solution. It's simple. Imagine someone confronted you with an issue and made you say it out loud. And in that moment, you're uncomfortable, but you're uncomfortable in a way that you know that change needs to happen. And that's exactly what you want to do here. You want to let them talk. You want to let them feel the silence, right? Because that's when they come to the realization. You can't force that realization on them. They need to realize it themselves. And that's exactly how you're going to get more conversions, okay? So then flip it. Ask them where they actually want to be and what would it mean for them to get to exactly where they want to get to. Get them to literally paint the picture for themselves. Because when someone articulates their own pain and their own dream out loud, they already are halfway to wanting help. All your job is from then is just asking the right questions and listening. It's self-explanatory, okay? It doesn't, as I said before, it's not rocket science. You just need to have a bit of care, ask the right questions and guide them, right? They pretty much do the rest for you. Handling objections is a big part of it as well, but you don't need to overthink this, right? Because people hesitate, and it's completely normal. It's very, very normal for people to hesitate, but you don't want to panic, and you don't want to push back when they say something that you don't necessarily like the words of, okay? Always with handling objections, acknowledge what they said. Show you actually get where they're coming from, and ask questions to keep things moving. Because most objections aren't hard no's. They're just uncertainty, just putting on a disguise, really. That's kind of what it is. It's usually fear, lack of urgency, some sort of question that maybe you haven't fully answered yet, that they're kind of teetering on the edge of, but they usually mask it with something else. This is called a smokescreen. Now, understanding if this is a smokescreen or this is a real objection is something that's quite important and very useful for you to get very early on. Okay, so starting to understand different types of objections you might get, like, I'm not sure if it's the right time for me. Oh yeah, I'll start when XYZ. These type of things are very common objections that we get. Also, price objection. Never drop the price in the DMs ever, please, because the way that humans work, this is also source for you guys. The way that humans work, the way that human psychology works, if you drop a price in the DM, right, and you give them the price, they look at that price as, holy fuck, that's a lot. That's a big number, because they don't see the value in what you provide. That value gets shown on the call, right? So never drop the price in the DMs. Work out an objection handle for that. And usually that comes with being vague. And you're vague in not a distrustful way, but you're vague in a everything's tailored towards you type way, okay? Because at that point, giving them a one-size-fits-all price doesn't really fit their criteria anyway, okay? Ultimately, from handling objections, though, your job is to make them feel comfortable enough to take the next step. Booking the call, right? Once again, you never want to just go straight to sending the calendar link, okay? So there's a couple things that you do need to know when doing this, when appointment setting. There are a couple no-nos. Never go straight to sending the calendar link, okay? You want to pitch the idea of getting help first and let them agree to that. Then suggest helping on a quick call. Once they say yes, send the link. Breaking it into stages makes each yes feel natural and easy and massively increases the chance that they're going to show up on the call. Because what good is having a conversation where you're not really caring about what they say to you, they yes man you through the entire call because they don't want to be rude. You book them onto a call because you force them, sending the link first, not seeing if they actually want it. And then what do? They don't show up on the call. The closer looks at you like, what the hell? Why is this lead not showed? You're wasting my time. And then ultimately, everything's a bit downhill from there. Instead, if you actually just showed that you cared a little bit, ultimately your goal here is to make money. So why wouldn't you just show you cared if your intrinsic value to all of this is just making money? If that's what you care about, do the extra step. Show that you care. Maybe actually get a bit involved in it. Do the steps that no one really wants to do, but the things that are necessary to ensure your chances of getting them onto the call, them having a good call, them closing, ultimately you getting money into the pocket, which is the whole point of all this, right? But ultimately, if you flip your perspective on that and think to yourself, okay, well, not only can I have this opportunity to make money for myself, but I can also help people. You start to really push away from this unethical way of thinking, okay? So following up, this is post-booking follow-ups. Most people won't book on the first message, and that's completely fine. That's okay. Follow up the next day. Just keep it casual and just reopen the conversation naturally. Don't be pushy, just be present. Show that you're back in this conversation. Show that you care about their reply, okay? The majority of bookings come from the follow-up. Follow-ups are literally king, and the amount of money that people leave on the table by not doing their follow-ups is crazy. Most setters just get egotistical and they don't bother. And that's honestly where your edge comes from, because people get so emotionally attached to the fact that, this person I've been speaking to just left me on scene. You don't know if they actually didn't mean to leave you on ed. You don't know what their reasoning was, right? So you can re-engage them. Quite often or not, you can start to integrate their pain, helping. You can mention, oh yeah, I just wanted to check to see if you were still looking to get help with XYZ pain. And then maybe even reignite their goal back into their mind, so you can really start to re-engage this picture of why you're even having this conversation in the first place. More source. So that's something for you boys and girls, if you're watching this, to take a full consideration of. The DM setting framework, it will be more in depth, and when you start to see a script, you can start to think of how you can implement these exact stages into your script and increase your chances of conversion, because this is ultimately going to make you so much more confident going into the DMs rather than just doing it blindly, following a script and just trying to figure it out on your own. So how do we get to consistent 5 to upwards to 10k plus months? So now you've got the skill, you're on an offer, here's how you actually get to the months that change your life. And it all starts with your performance. See, the guys hitting 5k months aren't doing anything complicated. They show up every single day and they treat every conversation like it matters. And they keep getting sharper. That's really important. They keep getting sharper. They don't just stagnate. They keep learning. They keep improving. And that consistency compounds every single day. It compounds extremely quick. A few good weeks turns into a good month. A few good months and you're making more than most people do in a full-time job, right? Stack your experience early. The more reps you get, faster everything clicks. The quicker that you are to move, the quicker that you speed, right? All of it pushes you further. So for example, I notice personally, from my experience, the people that go into a community that wait for permission to begin, rather than starting off their own backs and deciding to take permission as something that they have a say in, they ultimately push themselves further and get closer to the result that they have in their head quicker. And it's simple, because if you think about it logically, these people who are waiting for permission are almost like they're at a traffic light. They're waiting to get told to go. Every minute is actually quite valuable, because in that time that you're waiting, that next person that could be getting on that role that you were actually destined for, they're already getting more experience than you. If they get more experience than you, then chances are they could probably edge you in an interview, in a loom, because they've got something that's actually a competitive advantage. So stack your experience early and use momentum that you have through not asking for permission and just taking this by the horns. Level up constantly, ask for better commission structures, and position yourself as someone who's indisposable on the team. Because at the end of the day, this is all about how disposable you are. Like, if you want to get paid good money, it's about how long does it take for someone to replace you? Because if it takes them weeks to actually find someone who's as good as you, imagine that 3 to 4 weeks of not having someone fill the boots that you filled. It's going to be quite bad for business, right? So this is another thing that you've got to take into account. So stack your experience early and let it compound. What do the best setters actually do different then? Because, well, as I said, like, there isn't much difference, but what do they actually do? Because they must do something, right? They review their conversations, they ask for feedback and act on it. They don't have slow days, they have learning days. They're consistently looking at what they can control and finding ways to get better at it. The difference between a 1K month and 5K month is almost just consistency and self-awareness. A huge thing about it as well is mentality. Right? I've noticed a huge switch in my students who started to change their identity from someone who is working still as an employee at 9 to 5 into someone who's actually a full operator, someone who is in this business to make it last, to grow. These people that start to view themselves as, an actual asset to a business, someone who's worth it in that team. They do it because it's who they are, not someone who's just clocking in and showing up like it's, a 9 to 5 where you clock in, you go home, and you get paid based on showing up. These people, my students, who are starting to push to the 3 to 5 plus mark, are the people that have the mentality of the ones making 10K already, because they have adopted the identity of that life that they want to live, and they do the things of the person that lives that life. And that is exactly how you're going to push yourself upwards, right? The numbers get you there. You need to know your numbers so well. You need to be able to do conservative math. You need to know your sharp rate, your close rate. You need to know your response rate to outreach messages. You need to know the conversation to book call rate. You need to know the conversation to close rate. You need to know these specific things that are going to be able to reverse engineer your results. Because if you can fixate on your outreach message, get that better, you've ticked off one bad thing that was going wrong. Your conversation to booked call rate, you know that something's going wrong in that conversation flow. Your booked call rate to show rate, you know that they're not showing because they've not created urgency within that call, within that message, sorry. Or even within the world of, okay, cool, follow up. Well, I didn't follow up after I booked them on a call, so maybe they just forgot or didn't feel like I cared. So making sure that I'm following up on the day of the call, an hour before the call. These things that just are going to push you so much further. You need to know your numbers. How many conversations are you starting a day? How many of those are you pitching a call to? How many are actually booking? How many show up? Track this every single day, because once you know your numbers, you know exactly what to fix. This is how you grow. This is how you make money. Because if you aren't obsessed with every single metric, if you don't care about what you're doing, you're never going to make it. If you're booking calls but people aren't showing up, that's a follow-up problem. If people are showing up but not closing, that's a qualification problem. The setters making 5K months know their metrics inside and out, and that's exactly why they can fix their problems fast and keep growing, because you need to be obsessed. If you're not obsessed, you're not going to make it in the space. I'm sorry to say, you can't cruise. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. You have to put in the work. Having the right mindset, and this is honestly something that I ensure my students have. My students have a bad mindset, and they approach work with a bad mindset. I can ensure you that they will not be getting to these 3 to 5 plus K months, and neither will you. The skill that gets you started, the mindset that keeps you going. This is what separates the people who make it from the ones who quit right before it clicks. Okay? Now, I want you guys to really, really take this one into account, okay? This is so important. I can't stress this enough. This is so important, okay? Think long-term, not short-term. Most people that come into setting wanting results in the first week, and when it doesn't happen, they start to doubt. They start doubting everything. They start to really doubt everything that's come before. Did I make the right decision? If I invested into a mentor and I'm still not making money, am I failure? Did I get scammed? These things. There's just fear wearing different disguises. Okay. The truth is, this is a skill, and skills take time to build. Commit to 6 months, not 6 days. The setter who makes it are the ones who decided from day one that they were going to figure this out no matter how long it took. No matter how long it takes for them to, get their first commissions, to get their first role. They don't care how long it takes because they've detached themselves from the time it takes. They're so much more focused on the skills that they can learn, the asset that they can become, and ultimately the amount of money that they can achieve due to these decisions that they've made before, not getting it as soon as possible. So that decision alone puts you ahead of the majority of the people who quit the moment it gets uncomfortable. And I've seen this firsthand. People that think it's just going to be a cruise, a breeze, like some easy work, and then they get into this environment where they're chucked into the deep end, and they don't swim, they sink, because they just think it's going to come to them. It's not going to get handed to you. You have to put in work. It's like anything in life. It's the gym. You don't go to the gym, not lift weights. You just show up to the gym and expect to get some sort of six pack and some big muscles. No, you wouldn't at that point walk out the gym and shake your fist at the gym and be like, you scammed me. You wouldn't say that, would you? Because you know that you didn't put in the reps. You didn't put in the work. It's the exact same thing. Stop watching the money. And this is something that I personally noticed with myself at the beginning. I was so fixated on this money thing. It's not anything that you think it is. And it's the biggest mistake new setters make. It's checking their earnings every single day. How much did I make today? And when you focus on the money, you make desperate decisions. You rush conversations. You get emotional, really. And you pitch too early and leads can feel it. The setters who grow the fastest are the ones who detach from the outcome and just focus on getting better at the process every single day. Because money is the byproduct. Money follows the skill. Always. Every single time. I can promise you. Consistency beats everything. You don't need to have a perfect day every single day. I promise you, you just need to show up. Because the setter who sends 30 messages every single day will always outperform the one who sends 100 a day and disappears for free. Okay? Consistency, my boys, my people, whoever's watching this, consistency. Build a routine that works for you and protect it. Treat it like a job because that's exactly what it is. Don't think to yourself that this is some sort of like fun, like little side hustle. Treat it like you care about it. Nurture it. Learn. Grow. Everything that you need to do to make this something that is going to be your full-time career or something that gets you into a position where you are making good money to make a full-time career's worth. You can't do that half-assed. You can't do that anywhere. Environment matters. Who you are around every day will either push you forward or pull you back. So get into the communities with other setters who are on the same path. Share your wins, share your struggles. Learn from people who are a few steps ahead. Because the right environment makes the hard days so much easier and the good days even better because you've got people to support you in the good and the bad. Because you ultimately will move faster surrounded by the right people than you ever will alone. Remember why you started. On the days where it feels slow, come back to why you started this. You wanted the freedom. You wanted the income. You wanted to not be tied to someone else's schedule. You didn't want to build someone else's dream. You wanted to build something real for yourself. And that's the reason that got you here. And it's what's going to keep you from doing the things when things get tough. Write it down, look at it when you need it, and never lose sight. This is something I literally have for myself. I have a full document literally explaining why I started everything. Because even me in my situation, I need to remember that. I can't get complacent now, can't get complacent ever. And ultimately win the day before it starts, because the setters who stay consistent long term all have one thing in common. They have a routine that sets them up before the work even begins. So whether that's a morning walk, journaling, gym, or just getting off your phone for the first hour of the day, find what puts you in the right headspace and make it non-negotiable. Because you can't show up at your best in conversations if your mind is all over the place. In the morning and the rest of your day takes care of itself. It's simple. It's easy. You need to start to step into this idea of who you want to become now, even though you might not have those things. Let's say you want to be someone who's making £10,000 per month through remote sales, okay? Do you think this £10,000 per month person, doom scrolls, do you think they watch Corn and all these different things? Do you think they're good? You know what I mean? Like, do you genuinely believe that these people don't care for their lives? No, of course they do. They do the things that they know they're meant to do. They're always thinking about growth, progressing. They're doing the things that keeps them in the highest leverage. And you need to do the same now. You need to step into that version of you now. Create that identity for yourself, because that's what's going to move the needle. Become the 2.0 version of yourself. The money is a byproduct. Money's not real. It's a piece of paper. There's a Bible verse that says, "What will profit a man if he gains the world but loses his soul?" And it's the same thing. You can't serve two masters, okay? What setting really does is force you to become a better version of yourself. Better at communication, better at discipline, better at handling rejection and pressure. Start acting like the person that you want to become right now. Step into that 2.0 version of yourself. How would the version of you making 5K a month show up every single day? Show up today. What decisions would they make? You know, would they wake up and instantly doom scroll, check their phone, check their notifications, or would they get up, stretch, get some water, you know, go outside, get some sun? How would they spend their time? Would they spend it doom scrolling, playing games, fucking about? Or would they do it learning? You know, reading a book, actually just getting some sort of knowledge that isn't just fast media. Act always in alignment with that person every single day, and I guarantee you that you will become them faster than you think. And even if you don't become them faster than you think, I guarantee your life improves anyway. So I don't see a real world where you don't do this and make money or push yourself further. It doesn't even matter about money, actually. Make money, yeah, sure, you might make money, but you become a better person. And I think that's more valuable, actually, than the money that you're going to gain anyway. So what comes next, right? You have everything you need to get started, but the only question is, what do you do with it? Setting is ultimately just the beginning of this journey for you, because the skill that you build here opens doors most people never get close to. Setting leads to closing. Closing leads to management. Management leads to building your own thing, and every step compounds on the last one, and it starts here. This is exactly what I did. I did this exact thing. I started setting, went to closing, went to management. Management went to me building my agency. All of it came from setting it. All roads lead to setting. All of it starts from here. Other career options though, closer, on the calls, you know, you get a bigger cut, usually 10 to 15%, bigger months. Sales manager, you run a team, you earn off everyone's output, you take revenue share. You know, you also can manage closers, you can manage setters as well, you can do set management. You can own your own business. You have the skill, you have the network, you have the experience, now build for yourself. You can go into GrowthOp, you can go into BizOp, you know, you can go into whatever you want to. Start your own agency. Maybe you've got some marketing experience, start your own marketing. You know, you've got the sales, you can just push your product now. See, most people who watch this will do nothing, okay? The ones who actually change their situation take the next step today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be a start. There's an old saying that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. If you want to fast track everything, I really do recommend joining a community like the type we offer, where we give you the training, the network that we mentioned, the offers, you know, 300 hiring opportunities in the hiring chat just this week, and the support to make things happen as fast as possible. And if that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, then my Instagram's in the description, so come and have a conversation with me. But ultimately, if you've made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you for watching, and I hope that you guys learned something in this video that you can apply today, because all of this information is great, but it doesn't really mean much if you don't apply it. As I said, this is the exact same skill that me and my students have used to break from our 9-to-5s and make money online. So this is something that you guys can actually do yourselves. This is a reality for you guys too. If you guys did make it this far, as I said, then message me the word training on Instagram, and I will send you guys the gift that's going to help you guys push yourself further and actually escape from just watching this video and actually being able to put it in real time. Thank you very much, and see you guys in the DMs.